Hey everybody, welcome back to the casa. I know it's been like forever. It's been over a year, I think, at this point, other than the two short videos that I recently posted. Um, and we're going to touch on that. We're going to get into why that is, what has transpired here in the last year, and what have you. Meanwhile, I've got something I want to show you that I've been kind of getting back into doing. After talking with my son and his wife, as far as canning, preserving food, and that sort of thing. So we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about what's been going on and why I haven't posted anything, what's happening here, what's going on, going to be going on in the future. Before we do that, though, I wanted to kind of real quick show you something that I think it's really cool. About a month or so ago, I scored a really cool score. I was helping a friend of mine that I used to work with. She was living in an apartment. She bought herself a townhouse, and she was moving. It's in the same town. No sense paying a mover, what have you. I've got a van. I've got a trailer. I helped her out. Helped her to move. And in part of that, she was kind of decluttering, and she had a big pile of stuff that she intended to donate. And I spotted this, and I said, "Hey, can I have it? You're going to donate it anyway." She's like, "Yeah, sure, have it." So here's what I ended up with, guys. This is, and I don't know the model or anything else, but this is a Ninja kind of chopper blender thing. Comes with a couple of it comes with 3 different containers. Comes with a power unit, and I checked it and it works. I just got to clean it up, and it's going to be going into my gadget collection. Some of you guys know I'm a little bit of a gadget freak. It's kind of a fetish, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But I got a bunch of gadgets and stuff. But I'm looking forward to using this, and that was kind of cool. And in addition to that, I need your blender too. So these things, I guess, are supposed to be pretty good. We'll see, but we're gonna check it out. Get it all cleaned up, and that's gonna go in my working tools. So, what are we doing today? Well, oh, hi baby, come on. That's Miss Rhonda. Some of you guys have seen pictures of her before or video of her before. That's half a Team Rocket. And we'll get into that too. But what are we doing today? Well, I talked to my son and I talked to his wife, my daughter-in-law, and they want to get back into doing, or they want to get into doing some food preserving. Come on, baby. I know. You come on. Come here. I know you're scared. The linoleum scares you. I'll give you a treat. Okay. Do you want? Go on. Go lay down. The linoleum scares her. She won't walk on the linoleum. I got to put her rug back down again. But anyway, let me close this door so she if she knows I'm out here, she'll keep wandering out there. All right, baby. Here we go. So anyway, in talking to them, they want to learn to can and preserve and stuff like that, and they're going to do it down there. Unfortunately, because of distance, I can't be there to do it with them and stuff like that. But growing up here on the farm, we did a lot of it. I cannot tell you how many green beans I snapped over the years. Green beans, French beans, every year. And I think that's probably why I don't like green beans that much and French beans that much, but it is what it is. So, got to talking to them, and that got me to thinking, and this and that and the other. So, I've been binging a whole bunch of YouTube videos of different homesteaders and stuff, different canning stuff. And there's a couple of things that I wanted to go ahead and try and get started on. And one of those is going to be, everybody know. I don't know if everybody knows what a mirepoix is. Mirepoix is basically a mix of carrots, onions, celery, You chop them up, you put them in a pan and saute them, and that becomes the base for a lot of things. Well, I ran across the video, and it's by Mary's Nest, and basically what she has done is she has taken the idea of a mirepoix and made it into a powder. So she cuts everything up, preps all her veg, she dehydrates it, and then she blends it up in the blender, turns it into a powder, and then she's got a powder that she can use as a base for different things, as a seasoning for things, and I thought that was a really cool idea. So I'm gonna give it a shot. You know, shout out to Mary at Mary's Nest. I'll put a link down in the doobly-doo for that. The other thing that I'm doing in kind of a combination with that, because one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to blanch my carrots. I'm going to blanch my onions in order to start the dehydrating process. They dehydrate a little better from what I understand if they're blanched. So we're going to do that. That's going to give me a lot of water that's got, you know, essence, if you will, of vegetables in it. So I got to thinking, the other thing I'm going to do, and there's another lady who runs a YouTube channel called The Needy Homesteader, and she does an onion stock, and I'm going to go ahead and make that onion stock and can that up and do that. So I got to thinking about it, and if I'm going to blanch these vegetables, I'm going to have all this water that's going to have this essence from the carrots and essence from the onions in them. Rather than starting with just fresh water, why don't I start with this blanched water that's already kind of got some of that stuff that's been cooking in it? So I'm going to do both of those, and that's kind of the plan. So like I say, those are the folks who I've got this idea from. Like I said, I'll put the link for them down in the doobly-doo, and I'm going to let you guys know, you know, how this turns out. This is going to be a multi-part video, unfortunately, because this is going to take a while. As you guys can see, there's been a few changes. I let it go for a year, and I just got tired of it, and I had a Britney moment, and I took the dog clippers to it and just got rid of it. But I'll put a picture up here somewhere so you can see the difference. I took a half and half picture, and I'll put it up here, and you guys can see what about a year and a half worth of growth was before I hacked it all off. So I got rid of that. So let's get started on this, and we'll talk about what's going on. So I got myself a bunch of carrots here. Let me get my stuff out of it. I went up to the store, and you know, it's the beginning of spring. This is like the 3rd of April, I think now. Today is 4-3-2-1 day. If you know, you're kind of into those kind of funny things. And I got myself a bunch of carrots. I've got them all washed, and I'm going to go ahead and prep them. And in order to dehydrate them, of course, they've got to be pretty small. So we're gonna do a lot of chopping that stuff up, what have you. The first thing I'm going to do though is I wash these carrots. They're good to go as far as having been washed, so they are clean. But you know, the ends, you do what you can with them. You know, but they don't necessarily get clean. I mean, the tips are clean. They're just fugly. They're a little off color. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to cut off all the ends. I got a bin for them. They're going to go in my compost. We're going to go from there. And then I'm going to peel them. The peels are going to go in the onion base, or but the mirepoix is just, I'm gonna peel them up so they don't have, you know, dark and light and what have you, because you know the skin on the carrots gets discolored. So I'm gonna peel them up. The peels are gonna go in my onion stock, but so I am gonna use them, but I'm not gonna use the ends. They're just gonna go in my compost. So I'm just gonna get rid of those. I know, finger, right? Cut my finger off. It is what it is. And then I'm just gonna back in the bowl with them. So basically, that's the plan for these. We're just going to go through them, and I'm going to work my way through this, and we'll get as much of these done as I can. And I'm not going to do them all right now, because I'm not going to sit here and make you guys suffer through me cutting the ends off of a bunch of carrots just for that. I'm just getting a couple ready. Boy, that one's got a weirdness to it. Just so I can have some to go ahead and process the rest of the way while we talk. So, what has been going on? Well, as you guys know, I had decided to move at some point out to Missouri. I have friends out there that you know, I've had for years. They're you know, close friends. They're closer friends than some of the friends I have here. They are closer family than some of the family I have here. Like I say, you know, they are people that I've relied on emotionally and what have you for a long time. You know, when I went through my divorce, when I went through the death of my mom and my grandfather, what have you, they were kind of there for me, whatnot. So they've always been, you know, there. And I lived out in Missouri for 3 years, military housing out there, and I really kind of liked it. And you know, like I said, things are. I've said this before, and we've talked about this before. Things out here are getting crowded. I live in northeastern Maryland area, and you know, it's becoming more and more populated and less rural. Now I have 12 acres here, but I have a whole bunch of what they call ranchers. You know, the single story, you know, 2-3 bedroom little houses that spring up everywhere. And then, of course, we're getting a lot of, you know, people come in and what have you. And you know, when I grew up, this whole area was farm. And a lot of the places that I worked as a kid are no longer farms. They're now neighborhoods. You know, they've got McMansions on them, or what have you. So the people that grew up here, the people who lived here, are kind of slowly but surely being taxed out of the area. They're being taxed out of the area. They're being squeezed out of the area, what have you. And I had decided, you know what, enough is enough. I'm done. I want to move. I want to not be here. Let's take the equity I have in this place. It is, you know, an old house. It does have its issues, but you know, there is still equity in the house, regardless of the condition the place is in. I mean, it's a 180-year-old farmhouse at this point. 1860, 1880, I think, is when they figure it was built. So what? That's 160, 180 years, somewhere around there. Anyway, so I decided that I was going to move to Missouri. Well, in order to do that, one of the things that has to happen is I have to get this place cleaned out. When my mom passed, and when my grandfather passed, and when my grandmother passed, all of that stuff ended up here. My grandfather was a bit of a hoarder. He grew up during the Depression, and you never threw anything away. So I found pencils with bread clips, literally full of bread clips that he saved, and things like that. So I ended up with a lot of stuff. This place is overloaded and overwhelmed with stuff. Most of it's junk, most of it's trash. It's been sitting for so long, and this and that and the other. It's just got to go. The problem with that is last month I turned 57. I'm not getting any younger. My health is not what it used to be, unfortunately. You know, the Army does that to you. So I needed help. I needed someone to help me out, what have you. And my daughter at the time was looking to move from her job, looking to move from where she lived. She wanted to convert a bus and go on the road. And all of that was awesome. I grew up, my mom was a hippie from way back, you know. My first car was a VW camper, you know, that kind of thing. So I was all for it. I wanted to help her out and what have you. So she moved up here, and with the premise of, you know, going to come up here, she was going to help me, and I was going to help her, and we got her a car, and that all worked out. Unfortunately, you know, things happen. People's personalities are people's personalities, and while, you know, you may get along with someone in a general setting, you may not necessarily get along with them in a living setting. Unfortunately, that was the case, you know, with my daughter and I. You know, for whatever reasons, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of reasons. I mean, it is what it is. You know, there's outside influence issues there. There's issues from her childhood, having gone through, you know, a divorce, parents, what have you. And in addition to that, the help that I had expected did not materialize in what I understood it would, and we had a difference of opinion on that and what have you, and a difference of opinion on a number of things, including, you know, my friends and this house and things like that. And it is what it is. The bottom line is that, you know, it's my house and my friends, and you know, childhood is childhood, and at some point you can no longer use your childhood as an excuse for your adult behavior. At some point you are an adult, and you have to be responsible for your own actions. You can't point fingers and say, well, I'm screwed up because, you know, life goes on, get over it, move on. And I'm not, you know, going to say that I'm the easiest person to live with. I am certainly not. But I have done, I'm getting it all over the place. I'll sweep the floor later. You know, I did the best I could as a father. I did the best I could with this place and what I inherited and what I was, the cards I was dealt, if you will. Unfortunately, that didn't necessarily add up to the same ideals and viewpoints that they did with my daughter. And, you know, that's fine. That's, you know, she is an adult, and it is her life, and she makes her choices, and her views and choices are not necessarily my views and choices, and there's nothing wrong with that. We are two different people. But bottom line is, it did not work out, and she was given the option of, you know, either modifying some of the things that were happening, or you know, choosing a different path with her life. And she has since decided to move back down and move in with her mom, which, nothing wrong with that. I think probably suits her better, and what have you. It is what it is. You know, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm not going to get upset by it. You know, we're all adults, and life goes on. But that's the bottom line. Is the girl child is no longer living here, and has not been living here for nearly a year at this point. Actually, probably over a year at this point. Anyway, so that's what happened there. So the help that I expected to get did not manifest itself. So the last year has been once again back to me, myself, and I, all three of us doing things around here. And as much as I am capable of getting done, there's things that I'm not capable of getting done in as quick a manner as I used to be able to. We're all getting old. So that has kind of put a delay, not a kibosh, but a delay on my plans with regards to moving to Missouri. It is going to take me a little longer than I had hoped to get things emptied out here, to get things organized here, etc., etc., etc. So I've kind of slowed down on some of that. So I'm in a position where I'm having to make do in place right now, and at the same time continue to march forward. I'm still looking for property, and if something comes along, I'm gone. I'm out. You know, and I will deal with getting stuff moved over time. Fortunately, I am in a position where I can afford to actually keep this place and purchase a place out there. This place is paid off. There are very few utility bills here: electric, phone, cable, internet. So the only one I would really have to keep is my electric, to keep the lights on here and what have you. I have, I know people here that would watch the house for me. Potentially I could rent the house. So if I do find a place and a place comes along, boom, I'm there. And that's my eventual plan regardless. I do need to downsize. This place is 3-story, 8-bedroom, and 12 acres. And it's me, myself, and I doing it. So, like I say, I ain't getting no younger. So I want to downsize. I'd like to find, 3, 4, maybe 5 acres, something like that. A house that I don't have to fix everything in the house and rebuild it, which is another issue with this place. It was let go for many years before I inherited it, and I'm playing a lot of catch up. And the problem with playing catch up on a house this old is you never catch up. By the time you get done one thing, and you go to the next thing, and you go to the next thing, you have to come back and do the first thing over again. It's endless. So the house is too big for me. The property is too big for me. I want something that I can have my little garden, have my chickens, have my, maybe do some rabbits or something like that. Enjoy my retirement, So if I find a place, that's the plan. I'll keep this place. Maybe I'll rent it out. Maybe I'll, what have you, until I get it sold. In the meantime, I know I can cover the taxes on it and what have you, as well as a mortgage on a place out in Missouri. And I can go from there. So it's not off the table. It's just been delayed. So, like I say, that happened, and I didn't get necessarily the help that I wanted and what have you. So that kind of slowed things down, and that took up a lot of my time. That's part of the whole not doing videos thing. And then, as I mentioned before, I have Team Rocket, Ralph and Rhonda. They are both older dogs, senior dogs, and they were not in the best of health when I adopted them. I knew that. They had heartworms. The rescue took care of that and what have you. I knew they were senior dogs. I generally, at this point, like senior dogs. They are lap dogs for the most part. They just like the tension and they like to hang out. They don't require a crap ton of running around all the time. You know, they were happy to go out and walk around in the yard and explore the smells and hang out on the couch. So, like I said, I like senior dogs, and I'll put a picture up here of you know, Team Rocket. Unfortunately, this last summer, sorry, I lost Ralph. Ralph was 14, 15 years old, I guess, near as we can figure. He was probably 10 or 11 when is what the vet figured when I got him. There we go, it's all peeled. And I've had them for, gosh, close to 6 years now. So, so Ralph passed this last summer. He started having problems walking, and then that went to him not being able to stand at all. So I made an appointment with the vet to, you know, have it checked out or have him put down or whatever needed to be done. Unfortunately, with everything else going on, that's another part of why I've been doing videos. That didn't work out. He passed away before I could, you know, get to the vet. They limited appointments, what have you. Is what it is. So he's buried in the backyard, which, you know, all my other dogs are too. All my dogs have always been rescues. For as long as I can remember, they've been rescues. It's just, I prefer rescues. I won't get a dog from a breeder. I just don't. Anyway, so he passed away this summer. That was tough. It's still tough, obviously. So that kind of took the wind out of my sails as well. You know, was what it was. And then, of course, we've had the whole human malware thing that we've had going on. I won't say the C word because I know YouTube is, you know, people are getting hit for it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, the whole human malware thing occurred, and, you know, that kind of screwed a lot of things up. For me, I went from you know, having classes and having students to we closed the college. And we closed the college for the remainder of the semester when this all first started. And it remained closed until fall. In the fall, they decided to open back up online classes. I taught movie making, and needless to say, it's a little hard to teach that as an online class. It's a hands-on class, what have you. So now I got them all peeled. I'm gonna, like I say, I'm gonna keep the peels, and they're gonna go in the stock. Now I'm just kind of breaking these down smaller pieces so they'll fit in this thing, and I can get them chopped up enough to where they can be blanched and then they can be dehydrated. So anyway, so we stopped teaching. I have some remaining lung issues from the Army. I have lumps in my lung. I went in for checkup, and they said, "Oh, hey, you got 3 2 centimeter and 3 centimeter. You got 3 lumps in your lung. 2 of them are 2 centimeters. 1 of them is 3 centimeters. And you know, blah blah blah. So a lot of testing later. The bottom line is, in typical Army fashion or typical VA fashion, the answer was, we don't know what it is. We don't know what's causing it. We don't know how to treat it. But what we know for certain is that it's not service connected. It's not because of being in the Army for 22 years. You do the math on that one. So they don't know what it is. But, you know, I have lumps in my right lung. And every winter, that tends to come back to haunt me. In the winter, I tend to get an infection in my chest, and sometimes a couple of times I've had to go in for breathing treatments. Most of the time, I just kind of weather through it and guzzle a whole bunch of NyQuil and go to bed, and that seems to get me through it. What have you? Now, I was lucky this year. That's one big plus this year. That didn't happen. I did not get, knock on wood, I did not get an infection this year. So, despite everything else, there's at least that thing. And, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just gotten to be too much of a tough, mean old bastard, and maybe that, you know, the boogeyman is scared of making me sick now. I don't know. I do know that I don't. I rough it a lot more than a lot of people, so my immune system is probably pretty good. I don't heat this house in the winter. I heat one room. Last time I heated this place, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it cost me close to $4,000 to heat this place for the entire winter, and that was keeping it at 50. And that's more than a paycheck for me, more than a full paycheck for me, for the winter. So instead, I have a wood stove. I heat my living room. It cost me about $600, for wood. Would cost me less if I cut it myself. I don't. I just order it. They bring it. It's all split. It's all seasoned. Boom. Done. So for a fifth the cost, but the downside to that is the only room in the house that's heated is the living room. It gets cold at night. Luckily, Rhonda is still around. Now, Ralph's not here, so I really, luckily we didn't have any 3-dog nights this year. We only had 2 dog nights, so me and Rhonda. But electric mattress pad, bunch of covers, and a really comfortable warm dog. It is what it is. So, so maybe because of the way I live in the winter anyway, maybe it helps me, maybe it hurts me with the lung. I don't know. Anyway, because of that, I made it a point of avoiding pretty much anybody. Now, unfortunately, where I live in Maryland, this county is one of the most, how do I put this, conservative Republican counties in the state. So there was and is a whole lot of pushback, blowback on vaccines, on masks. There are people that I know who are anti-mask and anti-vax. Frankly, they're fucking idiots. And if that turns you off and you dislike my saying that, you don't have to watch these videos. But I'm gonna call it what it is. They're fucking morons. Now, it is what it is, and so I stayed away from people. I stayed, you know, to myself for the most part for the last year. So there's another part of it. And when you do that, and when you start to do that kind of as your lifestyle, and you know, I've always kind of lived that way anyway. It becomes habit with regards to other things. Now, I do have another YouTube channel. It's a gaming channel, and I spent a lot of time doing that. It was kind of a side, relaxation thing for me. It was a de-stressor away from all the shit that was going on. And like I say, believe me, this last year there's been plenty of it. So I do have that, and I did do a lot of that, but I didn't do a lot here because I didn't do a lot around here, other than just kind of sort through stuff, which is what I'm continuing to do. So, you know, we went through this year. I didn't have any students this fall, so I didn't teach. This spring came around. My college is still doing online classes because, again, people are fucking stupid, and, you know, rather than kicking this thing in the ass and being done with it, we spent a whole lot of time playing stupid games. Thankfully, some of that has begun to change. I am now finally, we have reached a category where I am eligible to get a vaccine. I'm still waiting to hear from the VA on that. Signed up in a few places. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, so spring rolls around. We're still doing online classes. So offered my class as an online class, got no students. Not a surprise. At this point, at that point, I had not worked, or I had not taught for a year, which means I did not draw a paycheck from the college for a year. It turns out that during that year, during this last year of not working for the college, I have more money now than I had when I was working. I have completely paid off my credit cards. I have bought some stuff that I probably shouldn't have bought. You know, just fun shit for me. And a new computer for one. And I have more money than I had, you know, going into this year. So I really kind of thought about it, and I decided to tender my resignation at the beginning of spring. So I don't work for the college anymore. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the students. But at the same time, it was costing me a lot of money to go there. Because it was costing me money for gas to go. It was costing me money for food to eat while I was there. And of course, you know, grab stuff and go kind of food, which is more expensive. It was costing me money to run the class because I put a lot into my class. I was never in a class. I was never teaching. I don't know if this is going to work. Wow. Sorry about that. We may do that off camera. I was never teaching the class to make money. I was teaching the class because I love the subject. I love movie making. I love learning about it. I love teaching it. I never thought I'd be a teacher, you know, when I was growing up. God, I hated teachers. But I loved being a teacher. So it was never about the money. But at the same time, it's kind of a no-brainer to not be there anymore. Okay, 2 is too many. This thing does do a pretty good job, though. They're pretty small. I hope I'm not going to break it. We'll see if we do or not. It's cheap. It's Walmart. It's like 20 bucks. I apologize for the loudness. I just want to kind of get this done. So anyway, so I'm not teaching anymore. So I've left the college. So there's another change that has kind of occurred. Now, the thing with that is, in some ways, that's going to free me up to be able to get things done around here more. One of the downsides to teaching was it took a lot of my time. Took a lot of my time away from being able to do things here. So hopefully we will now be able to do more stuff here, which means I'll be able to do more videos. I apologize. I expect this to be as long as it was and as long-winded and drawn out as it was. Whatever. I'm doing this stuff and kind of keep updating you guys at the same time. So that's, you know, where that stands. You know, I still keep in touch with the people I worked with. You know, I still help them out. I still have students that email me and ask me questions. That's probably always going to be the case. This thing works great, man. I saw it on one of these one of the homesteader channels, and everybody seemed to be using this thing, and I'm loving it. This is working great. Definitely recommend it if you got a lot of this to do, because it would suck to do this with a paring knife, especially as small as I want this stuff to be, in order to be able to blanch it and dehydrate it. So there we go. That is kind of brings you up to date on what's going on here. You know, I'm back to doing this by myself, which has generally always been the case. I have found over the years that when I have made arrangements with people and was trying to rely on people, that in general it has bit me in the arse many, many times. This time around is certainly no exception. So, you know, it may very well be for the best, and lesson learned. You know, rely on myself. Let me grab. You know what? What we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to take these out. We're going to put that in there. All of that's going to go in that. So that's where things stand. So back to this. What we're doing is, you know, watch me chop up carrots. I'm gonna blanch these carrots. I got a big pot of water on the stove waiting. It's at a simmer right now because, you know, it was up to a boil. Oops, there goes a carrot. Oh well, dog treat. And wow, yeah, that does great. I mean, check that out. That's you know, we're doing good. So I'm like I say, I'm gonna finish chopping this stuff up, and I'm not gonna make you guys suffer through more of it. And then I'm gonna blanch it, and then it's going to go in the dehydrators. So, you know, I'll come back when we got it going for blanching. I'm gonna blanch it for probably about, you know, 10 minutes. I gotta check. I got the notes written down. I think it's 10 minutes that I want to do this for. And then it's going to go in the dehydrator, and as long as that takes, you know, and that's potentially 24 hours or more for carrots, which is part of the reason I want to blanch it. It's supposed to open up the pores of the carrots and kind of get things moving in the right direction. Definitely with onions, that's supposed to be the case. Also, hopefully, it will reduce the smell of the onions, because I'm going to be doing this in the house. And it's beginning April, but you see I'm still wearing a sweat jacket. The weather went up to like 70 for a couple of days, and then we had a storm come through, and then it dropped. And last night it was 25, which I know that's not winter temperatures, but you know, you go from 75 to 70 to 25 at night. It's, you know, it's a shock to the system. So I'm going to be doing these inside, and of course, you know, we'll see if the wind is pumping or not. Luckily, I can do it in my kitchen, and I can go in the living room, and I'm not going to be disturbing anybody else. So that's our next foray into this. Is we will, once we get these cut up, we'll come back when they're being blanched. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Stay loco, and I don't know why I told you that, because I'm just going to continue with the same video. But there we go. So we got the water up and boiling again. I've got my timer set. I'm going to do these for 5 minutes. It kind of depends on who you read, who you talk to, whatever. Some places say if they're diced it's 2, some places say 5, some places say 10 for carrots. Bottom line, I'm going to be dehydrating these anyway, so I'm just going to do them for 5 minutes. I've got my timer set. I hope you guys can kind of see my water's going. Trying to do this and film and not burn the crap out of myself at the same time. We'll see how this goes. But there is, can you see this? That's all of that those carrots. That's what I got out of it. Pretty good amount. So we're just going to go ahead and in the water they go, trying not to slop them all over the place. Sorry, there's a lot of steam, but you know, it's boiling water. What are you going to do? All right, let me get all the rest of these scooped up out of the pan here, out of the bowl. Love these big bowls. I actually inherited these. These were my grandfather's. I come from I'm an only child, but, and my mom was an only child, but my grandmother was Italian. My mom was a foster parent growing up. So we had a house full of people. We always cooked big. So there it is. I'll let them go. Put the lid back on. And start. So we're going to let them go for 5 minutes. And then I'm just going to go ahead and strain them out back into this bowl. I'm going to put it over here on the table. It's going to be easier to work on the table, I think. Put a strainer in it. And we'll go from there. So I just got to wait for 5 minutes. So, excuse my cruddy nasty stove. That stove is as old as I am, and I gotta take the doors off and sand everything down and redo it. I've resurrected that stove I don't know how many times at this point. I grew up with that stove. I love it because it's got a griddle. You don't find stoves very often anymore with a griddle. How's that? Can you see me? There we go. Cool. So I started to say what got me back into doing this is having talked to my son and his wife. We used to do this as I was a kid growing up, and I went through my stuff. I have a pressure canner here. It's a Presto. It's a newer one that I bought, but in going back through my stuff, I actually found my mom's old pressure canner from the 70s, and it's, of course, it's avocado green. I'll put a picture. It's an old Sears. I forget what they called them, American Housewife canners or something like that. It was something weird. But anyway, I've got that too. It's a 21 quart. My Presto is a 16 quart. So between the two of them, you know, I should be set for a while. But anyway, you know, they wanted to do it, and I tend to jump into things with both feet. So I got to thinking about it and started binging a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that, getting ideas and getting my stuff all together. So just a real quick shout out. These are the folks that I've been watching lately, and you know, so I'm gonna put them all down in the doobly-doo. Check these guys out. They've got really great videos and what have you. So we've got Mary's Nest. We've got the Needy Homesteader, and that's where I got the mirepoix powder and the onion stock idea from. Is from those. Living Traditions Homestead. I've watched a lot of their videos. They got a lot of cool stuff. Apparently they are out in Missouri, which is kind of cool. Homestead Corner and Old Hippie Homesteaders. In another video coming up, I'm going to do rice pudding. Now, rice pudding's not one of those recommended things. It's kind of a rebel canning thing because you're not supposed to can rice. We're going to try it. I'm going to give it a shot. It's just me. If I kill myself, I kill myself, right? I've also been watching Wilhelm's Kitchen. She's got a lot of kind of cool stuff on there too. So I've been binging a lot of these, and like I say, I'll put them down in the doobly-doo. I wholeheartedly recommend checking these guys out. That's where I'm getting a lot of my ideas from. It's where I'm going to continue to get my ideas from and follow along with them. And I've got my books, and I've pulled my books out and what have you. And, you know, we'll go from there. But there it is. So, what do we got? Hell, I've actually almost talked for another 5 minutes. You guys are going to get tired of me talking. But that's what I got going. So, there it is. That's what we're doing. We're right now we're just blanching carrots. We're going to drain them out. They'll go in the dehydrator. Like I say, this water, I'm hoping to be able to use this water for these onions. Excuse me. Next thing we'll do is we'll prep the onions to go into the cooker for the onion broth with this water and what have you, and we'll go from there. There we go. We are down to 39 seconds, so we might as well just hang out. You don't mind hanging out with me, do you? What I'm going to do is I'll move this back over here, and we'll get that moved down here where you guys can see. How's that? You guys see that? Yeah, cool. All right, so that's what I'm going to do is we're just going to bring that over, and we're going to dump it in here, and that's going to be that. That'll go in my dehydrator. I'm not even going to ice bath it or anything like that. There's no sense. It's just going right in the dehydrator. So there we go. All right. Let me see if I can burn the snot out of myself here, guys. No, I have. There it is. All right. My hands aren't as tough as they used to be. I need to have some kind of protection. All right. Here we go. Alright, now what I'm going to do is try not to scald the shit out of myself, excuse my language. I will warn you guys now, I am an old curmudgeon-y, retired military guy. You know, I have opinions, and I have mouth on me. So again, if you don't like that, you don't have to watch. Alright, here we go. This is going in the cooker. I'll be able to use that water, like I say, for this onion base. The rest of this in here. Get my scraper. Get this scraped out. And I got my farting around the house clothes on today, so sweats and sweats. All right, there we go. I'm gonna put that over top of that, let that finish draining. This water gonna go right in here. All right. So there we go, guys. Got that part started. I'm gonna let this finish draining a little bit, and then we're gonna get that in the dehydrator. In the meantime, I'm going to get set up, and we'll prep the onions so they're going to go in this broth. All right, give me just a second. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and continue on with this this onion stock. It's actually more really kind of a vegetable stock, I guess, considering it's got carrots in it and stuff. But be that as it may, we're going to call it an onion stock. So first thing I did is I went ahead and I washed my onions, left the skins on, what have you, just washed them. I'm going to wash them again after I go ahead and do what I got to do. There's about 10 onions here. They're 5 to a bag. They were like 3-pound bags. So, 6 pounds of onions, I guess, give or take. I think I took one out, to use for something. So give or take. Now, I went ahead, like I said, and I washed these. But, the root end is kind of a pain in the ass to wash. You got the cord end here. Now, the recipe that she gives says just use its skin and all. The skin's going to add some color. It's going to add to the flavor. So as long as the skin's not bad, use the skin. But, I am going to do what she does basically and cut off the root end, just because, I'm not going to be able to get it clean enough, and I'm going to cut off the dangly end just because. And then I'm going to go ahead and wash them again, and once I wash them, I'll bring them back up. We'll cut them up, we'll put them in, and we'll get things boiling. So, I'm just going to, give them a quick look and see if I see any bruising or any moldy spots or anything like that. And in the thing it'll go. If I see anything like that, I'm going to cut it off, and that's going to go in my compost can. Like for instance here, I got I don't know if you can see that. Looks like it's got bruised. It's kind of discolored. We're going to go ahead and cut that out, and I'm just going to cut a fair amount around it just to make sure I get everything. There we go. I know Chef Ann would put red marks on my fingers for cutting with my finger, but I ain't cut myself yet. I'm 57 years old. Well, I've cut myself, but I ain't cut a finger off yet or anything else. And at this point, kind of set in my ways. I will say, I like these ceramic knives. This is the first one I've had. I've not bought one before. I knew I was going to be doing a lot of cutting, so I picked one up. They're not cheap, but I do like it. It's a nice knife. We'll see if it holds an edge. That's the problem with most of my knives, is they end up losing their edge. You can get them sharpened. I've got a sharpener. I need to take a day and sit down and sharpen my knives. There's another bad spot right there. I don't know if you can see it or not. We're just gonna kind of cut it away. Better safe than sorry. the way I see it. Sorry about that. Old Army injuries, my finger's been acting up. I have a tendon that's popping over the knuckle every so often. And it just doesn't like me the last few days. So, I can't blame it. I don't like me sometimes too. So one of the things I want to kind of mention. I know beginning of this video kind of ragged on my daughter a little bit. I don't want to get the wrong impression. I'm a little bitter, a little upset, a little frustrated, but at the same time, she's an adult. She has to make choices that are right for her. So I don't want to disparage her. And I love her to death. She is my daughter, and I would move the world for her kind of thing. We don't get along. We don't agree on a lot of things, and we have different philosophies on a lot of things, and that's just the way it is. So don't take it as me, just ripping her a new one, because it's not. I know I'm a little hard to live with too. And she's had some things in her past, and some influences in her past which are not of her own doing. I'm not going to go into that. I have my opinions on that as well. But that's old news, long done and gone, as far as I am concerned. Unfortunately, kids carry that stuff forward. It is what it is. All right, so there we go. That's all the bad spots. I'll put all of this in my bin. Probably shouldn't have put it on my cutting board. Oh well, we'll flip the cutting board over. It's got two sides, right? Use the other side. All right, let me rinse these off real quick, and then I'll be right back. I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just going to go over here to the sink real quick. And since it's behind you, I'm behind you. Okay, done. So now, you get rid of that one. We don't need it anymore. Get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. So here's what we got. I don't have a big electric cooker canner like she does to do hers. I've got a roasting oven. Should work just fine. We're gonna find out. It's it's a 21 quart roasting oven. It ought to be plenty. Or it's 20 quart, excuse me. All right, so skin and all, we're just gonna quarter these. Now she cuts hers in half. I'm gonna quarter them. I think they're gonna break down a little better that way. Your mileage may vary, but it's really just that simple. Is you're just cutting them cutting them up, because they're gonna cook down a lot. Onions are mostly water, so they're gonna cook down quite a bit. I am definitely looking forward to trying this. It's going to take a while. It's 24 to 36 hours is what she recommends to do this, and I am definitely going to let it go at least the 24. I will probably let it go the 36. It's certainly not in my way. It'll be on the back counter back here. Yes, that counter's wood. I have a sheet pan that I'm going to sit this on to protect the wood. I built it because I don't have a whole lot of counter space around here. Unfortunately, this kitchen is large, but I don't have any counter space. So I built that, and I built it for my height. It's taller than a standard counter. I built it so that it's comfortable for me to work with. That's where I keep all my gadgety appliance stuff. It works real good. I was going to, and I may still, cover the top in pennies, and then you know, epoxy it or whatever. I think that's all of them. There we go. That's all of them. So there's that. And I may still do that. I don't know. I'm undecided. Yeah, you know, day to day, right? All right. So now, this is not full. I'm not gonna completely fill it till I get it moved, because I don't want to take a bath in boiling water. All right. So first thing we're gonna do, turn you around here a little bit so you can see, is tablespoon of salt. Now she calls for sea salt. That's a little more than a tablespoon, but it'll work. Not an exact science with this. She uses sea salt. I don't have any sea salt. I've got kosher salt right now. So that's what we're getting, kosher salt. Tablespoon of peppercorns. And funny enough, just like with her recipe, she's using the peppercorn medley. That's what the store had. That's what I'm putting in too. And now for the interesting part. 2 heaping tablespoons of turmeric. This is ground turmeric. I actually picked it up at BJ's. They had it in these big containers. In the store, they got the little teeny tiny ones. So I picked this up there. This is going to give it its color, and turmeric is also good for you. It's an anti-inflammatory, so that's cool. So there that is. All right, it's all in there. We're going to stir that up. Grab my spoon. We're going to get this stirred up. I'm going to move it over to the other counter, and I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to turn it on high, and we'll put it on high until it starts to boil. And then once it starts to boil, we're going to bring it down to low, and we're going to just walk away from it for the next day. And we'll go from there. So I think that's going to be, probably we'll do this video in 2 parts, I think. We'll do this, and then when it's done, we'll come back and we'll do another one on getting it out, canning it up, what have you. So let me get this over here. There we go. All right, cool. Let me make myself some room to move you guys over here with me. It's just gonna be easier. I move the table out of the way. All right, so here it is. It's on the counter. I got it centered on my flat sheet, and we're gonna put water in it now. Here we go. This is right down the road from me, about half a mile maybe. We have a spring that, growing up, this is what we always got water from. Always used to just go down there, fill up all the gallon jugs, what have you, and that was our water. I live, you know, like I say, it's an old farmhouse, so it's got a dug well, which is a shallow well. So the water's okay. I've had it tested. It's just it gets sediment in it sometimes after the rains and stuff like that. So it gets a little cloudy. I don't have a spin down filter for it. One of these days I'm going to get a spin down filter and put on it, maybe. And that'll take care of a lot of the sediment that gets in it. You know, I treat it periodically, what have you. So, you know, it's good water. It's cloudy. You know, so I don't use it to cook. I don't use it to drink. So I'm gonna turn this all the way up and let it go, and we'll see. So next video when we come back, it'll be, you know, 36 hours or so later. This will be all cooked down. We'll take a look at what it looks like, and we'll get it canned up, guys. In the meantime, I'm going to do a follow-up or a part 2 that's the mirepoix. Even though we kind of started it in this one, I'm going to do a totally separate video just for that. I just wanted to get the water to put in here, is why I kind of combined the two of them. So we're going to go from there. All right. I will talk at you guys later and see you when this is ready in a couple of days. Bye.